Where did I get this need for productivity, even if it's working against myself and nothing's changing? So I had to sit with myself for a second and deconstruct capitalism, productivity culture, and how I would go about it for myself without overwhelming myself, burning myself out, and making myself sick, to be able to audit my life and be like, what is not working? Hello, my loves. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. I am the Lunar Scorpion, aka Wilhelmina Simone, and this is my stitch in the web where we are queer, black, femme, radical, progressive babes just talking about culture, anime, philosophy, astrology, and all things that interest me, you, and us. So if you're new here, hi. And if you're the one of like 13 people or 100 people who are back and more, thanks for coming back. Today I wanted to check in with you guys because it's been a while. I know that I said I was going to be posting one video a week for a year, and now it's July. Psych! Yeah, and by the time you're seeing this, it might be August or beyond. So, happy summer, happy fall, happy winter, happy new year.
In case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Whenever you're catching this. And with that being said, I wanted to check in with you guys, talk about what's been going on from January when I was like, yeah, I got this New Year's resolution, to like just getting back into it in the summer. We have a lot to talk about, a lot to catch up on, and a lot of things that I want to discuss with you, with myself, and I want to hear your perspective, your feedback, your suggestions, your stories. So without further ado, let's talk about a Saturn Return check-in, talking about the Chinese astrology planner and how that's been working for me, and some life update / conversation starters that I want to have with other queer, black, femme, radical women, people, babes, they, them, and all that in between if you're here and in the line. So first, I want to just get the Chani Nichols Astro Planner review out the way because it's been 6 months. Now that I'm here, I want to talk about how the planner's been working for me. What do I think about it after using it for 6 months day to day? What I think can be improved, what I would like to see for myself, even if it's me doing it for myself in the future, and what's been working, not working with the planner, just in case you're like, oh, I want to buy this for the remainder of the year, or you want to think about buying it for next year and supporting, a woman-owned business, which you should. Regardless of this review, you should support queer femme businesses. It is somehow June 2026. Don't know how that happened. So I've been using this more or less every day. Yes, yes, yes. There was some time where I didn't use it for like a week or two because I was going through it. And I'll get more to that later, put a pin in it. When I was going through it in my relationship. And one of the things that I'm noticing as I'm flipping through is the main reason I got this journal and planner was for me to be more devoted and disciplined in my writing practice and having something that's more tactile and tangible instead of putting everything in like an email to-do list or on my phone. If we're basing it off that, 10 out of 10. It has definitely helped me plan my days, put it somewhere where I can see it, where I can write it, where I feel like it can manifest on paper. However, so that's been a good thing. Where I've been journaling more, it's inspired me to journal more, it's inspired me to write more, to use my handwriting more, which I feel like is a lost art that I hope we resurge and archive and start practicing. It's just handwriting, So that's been really good, seeing how the planets are moving each day and maybe how that would affect me is one thing in the present. It's different now being able to look back over the 6 months of like what I planned that day, what I did do, what I didn't do, and maybe some of the occurrences around those times. And now I'm able to like look back on and be like, oh, this is what was happening here and I planned this that day, but what events from that day maybe transpired 6 months later, a few weeks later, that I can now look back on and be like, huh, this had an influence, and do more evidence-based astrology for myself in my daily life and how things are moving through my chart, which I was following along with the Chani app. So that's been really cool. It's been keeping me mindful and intentional about what I do, how I do it, and when I do it according to astrology, if I can like keep it, if I can do so in my power and in my schedule, and if I can really align with those times, I will. I did notice that I was able to plan more rituals and spells and ceremonies and relaxation and inner child healing creative dates for myself, which worked out really well. But I wouldn't say that it kept me more accountable when it came to like seeing when I didn't do something even though I planned it, and how I would move it forward and seeing how it would align differently. I know that one time I was planning a ritual to do something for the Sagittarius full moon, and I was like gung-ho about it, and then it actually turned out that I did it on the Gemini new moon and that it actually aligned better with that. So being able to see things like that really is nice, and to have the evidence to prove and other journal writings that I have with that. So it's been helping me, examine my life. And they say an unexamined life is a life unlived. So I've been appreciating how this has been getting me to examine my life, the occurrences and the events, and how I move about them. Which brings me to my next point about I wish it was more personalized. And I know that's probably a lot to ask, but then when I did my research, when I looked around, when I checked out things online, when I talked to friends, there are definitely there's other journals, there's other astro planners, there's other apps even that are more personalized to your birth chart, to your human design, to your gene keys, to your Vedic astrology for free, and also personalized in a way that allows you to have more room and a higher quality experience when you're journaling, how you're going about it. And I'm wondering if there's a way that they can improve on that. Like if you get the Chani planner and you attach it to their app, right? Because I've been using the Chani app for years. I've been following them for years. Is there a way to connect the planner that you get to your actual birth chart, transitions, transits in the planner, if you can get it in their app? Like, is there a way? I would pay extra for it. Like, if there was a way I can get a personalized astral planner telling me what's happening, but where it's actually happening in my chart, I would definitely pay an extra $12 for that, like to actually attach it to my birth chart, and where those placements, like if it's a new moon in Gemini, a new moon in Cancer, where is that moving through my actual chart? Like it tells you, like it does give you prompts, like it does say like, hey, it's a new moon in Gemini, where's Gemini in your chart? Oh, it's in your 7th house. What does that represent? What do you want to culminate? And I like that you have to be able to put that together for yourself, like how this is expressing itself in your current life. It allows you to audit your life. It allows you to think about things from a different perspective in terms of like categories, astral movement. But I wish it was just a little bit deeper. Like, is it sextiling my Saturn, or is it trining my Jupiter, or is it squaring my Mars? I think those things matter. I see that it's moving through that part of my chart, but like how is it actually interacting with that part of my chart in this house? That's the work for me to do, and I'm happy for that. But I would, like I said, I would try to work that out somehow in this planner, or a way for it to prompt you to do that deeper work for your rituals, your spells, your journaling, your planning, especially for people who are more rigorous with their astrology than I am. I'm for sure knowing that's a thing. And I also really enjoyed that it gave you a tarot pull for each month, being able to look back on each month being like, oh, how did this come into fruition? X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z. As a hoodoo conjure girly myself down, I do wish that they had more instructional, insightful, intentional rituals, suggestions on spells, suggestions on, or just knowledge and information on how to use your power, wield your mysticism a little bit more. And I might be asking for too much, but those were my 2 points where either I would love it had been more personalized to each person since there is an app attached, and or more in-depth ritual spells, intentions when it comes to what to do around these things. And that's why you could tune into the Chani, podcast, the YouTube channel, amongst other creators, archivists, astrologists, and beyond that you follow to like go about those things. I feel like the planner was pretty pricey for something like this. So I think more can be done, but it's also made by actual humans, not AI. And so I think that says something, and a lot of something, and something to support. Just my thoughts. Now we're gonna get into the nitty gritty. So if you're still here, this is a Saturn Return check-in, and once I did my calculations and once I did all the math and things, I realized that Saturn wouldn't be moving into Taurus until April 2028. Yeah, so I'm like, okay, so this is really the thick of it. Like, we've been in it over a year, but we're still 2 years out. Like, this is the thick of the Saturn return. At least for me, it feels like I know it's passed over my exact birth chart and placement sometime also in April, but I'm telling you, I'm feeling it now. Your girl is feeling it now. Which leads me into how for the past 6 months when starting this to where you see me now, whenever you see this, is that I have been misaligned and I needed to redirect, pivot, and recalibrate and realign myself because I was running into the same obstacles, I was running into the same issues, I was repeating patterns and cycles, and I had to figure out where to place my intention, and devotion. And just in case I said that like a riddle, it was attention, intention, and devotion, and getting realigned with my actual purpose for myself in this human form and my divine purpose with whatever karmic contracts that I came into, because this shit ain't for the weak. And I also know it's not all mine, which has been a little relieving, but also more daunting if I say so myself. When I realized that I was running into the same obstacles, I was running into the same patterns and cycles, and for some reason I felt like I was in a catch-22 or a snake eating its own tail, I needed to pull back and figure out where this growth mindset was leading me. Where did I get this need for productivity, even if it's working against myself and nothing's changing? So I had to sit with myself for a second and deconstruct capitalism, productivity culture, and how I would go about it for myself without overwhelming myself, burning myself out, and making myself sick, to be able to audit my life and be like, what is not working? Where am I making the same decision, stumbling across the same checkpoint, that I'm not moving the needle forward in my life, in the ways that I can control, in the ways that I can change, in the ways that I can do something about, like taking my power back. I was sick of feeling like there was nothing I can do. And once I put together that I was like, looking at my Chani Astro app, looking at that I'm going through my Saturn return and then seeing where I actually am in my life along with where the world is, I was able to get a little more clear on what I needed to keep going with, that I lost my intention on, lost my focus on, self-destructed on, versus where was I distracting myself? Where was I grieving and not wanting to accept? Where was I creating self-fulfilling prophecies that reinforce negative beliefs and false narratives in my mind? And once I had that together, that's when I was like, oh damn, I've been fucking myself up a little bit, huh? Yeah. So being 29 comes for me with a lot of getting clear on what I want, what I need to let go of, and what I need to cultivate more. Because if I'm in the situation that I'm in now, outside of all these external factors and societal dynamics that I can't control, and if I know I can be like, damn, I'm fucking myself up in some way, where can I get clear? Where can I get strict? And where can I loosen up? So the first thing that I did started with my small daily habit. I know everyone says that it's like the small things that lead to the big things, but some things are tired and true. you know, and it started with like me making my bed up every morning and just getting into that habit. And when you're someone with anxiety, depression, and OCD, depending on how you structure your time, structure yourself in your environment, you're either setting yourself up to fail or setting yourself up for success with what you can. So once I noticed that like if I don't make up my bed, I'm actually am feeling differently that day, I started to work on my meditation and my mirror work and this book called Womology to help me with the Chani astral planner of journaling more and actually documenting my process. Because if I can take time to roll a joint, roll a blunt, hang out with people, watch some YouTube channels, I have enough time to write for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour a day. And then I also have enough time to go on a walk. I also have enough time to go to a yoga class, especially if someone who is self/unemployed, I should be making the most of my time while I have it and taking responsibility for time has been passing and I don't want to be the only one standing still because I was afraid to move. So I started moving in the ways that I could, moving my body, moving my sheets on my bed, moving my mind towards what can I do now that I would be thankful for in 3 to 5 years. And once those little habits started to change, it got to the bigger things that I was avoiding changing, different griefs and losses that I was avoiding to commit to. It turns out that I was breaking promises to myself, breaking promises from not posting a video for 1 week every week for a year until I turned 30. You know, I'm here now, and it's not to beat myself up, and it's not to not give myself grace and compassion. It's acknowledging that I need to be a better friend, lover, and parent to myself in many ways, and that if I'm going to commit to something, to see it through, even if it means a pulled back form of that promise. I rather come through with one video a month than no videos for 4 months, and making those decisions based off compassion and keeping a promise to myself versus thinking I'm a failure so I shouldn't just do anything at all, and then self-sabotaging further along my journey. And that also came with knowing where I needed to let go of certain relationships, habits, and things that were keeping me comfortable and also malnourishing me at the same time. Oh God. I know I put this in the script, but I can't believe I put it in the script. I was feeling really bold that day, I guess. But that leads me into ending a 4-year relationship, processing that loss of love and friendship, and what that means for me now and how I'm moving forward with that decision, that loss, and also that gain. No matter how old you get, no matter who you are, breakups suck. Even if they suck for 5 minutes or 5 years, it's a journey. It hits you in waves. However, I know that it was the best decision for myself and that person. I know that this was the decision that had to be made in order for me to redirect my energy back to myself, to redirect nourishment back to myself. Not because they weren't enough, not because they were too little, but because I needed me more than I needed anyone else in this time, and I had some things to do that I needed room for. I found myself in this position when I was 22 and I was engaged or planning to be engaged with a ring on my finger. And I had work to do then about knowing who I am and feeling like I didn't know myself, feeling like I didn't understand myself. And now that I'm 29, 30 by the time you're seeing this, I realize that I love myself, I care about myself, I know myself, but there is a part of my work that has nothing to do with me, that has to do with my family, that comes back to what it has to do with me, and my wants and needs have changed from 22 to 30. My wants and needs have changed from that 4 year when I met that person at 25, 26 to 30, and reconciling with that, and honestly being proud of being able to recognize change and growth and evolution, and loving someone enough to let them go. Because if I'm showing up as my best self that I can in the present moment with what I have, and it's still harming me or them, and the relationship feels unfulfilling and unhappy, then it's time to leave. I know that one of the things I wanted to move into was not staying in places longer than they serve me. Whether it's a job, a relationship, a friendship, a home, or even the tub. You know, I don't want to get too pruny. I don't want to stay with someone knowing that I'm unhappy, that I'm extremely doubtful, that I don't feel seen, that I don't feel heard, and I don't feel nourished, just in hopes that it will change, even though time and time again it has not changed or proven itself to be different. And sometimes the difference that needs to be made can't happen with each other. And I'm grateful for the lessons. I'm grateful for the love and the commitment and the faith that we put into it and all the hard work. And just because it ended doesn't mean it was a failure. I actually believe it was a success to have a 4-year relationship with someone and love each other and be able to be like, I love you, but neither of us are happy and we have to let each other go instead of trying to force a connection that was harming both of us. I think it was a success. One of the prominent reasons that I knew I had to end this relationship that I was in for 4 years was something so small. I know it's really like the straw that breaks the camel's back. Like someone can do X, Y, and Z to you, but it's really that 6.928 thing that they did when the wind blew southwest that you're like, yeah, this is really not going to work out. It was one of those moments. And it wasn't necessarily because my partner did or said something. Yes, and I had a conversation with my father where he was like, oh, I need to get you a gift for your birthday. Shout out to all the Pisces out there. What do you need? What do you want? And my Beat headphones had just like finally caved out after like 5 years of having them or so. And so I was like, oh, I need some new headphones. He's like, send me a pair that you want. My father does not make a lot of money. I grew up in extreme poverty a lot of my life, and so I've learned to, one, live below my means, and two, be humble and gracious when it comes to gifts that people are asking me. Like, I want to respect that people have bills. And so even though it was my father, I was like, oh, let me send him these headphones. They're not like expensive and they'll do for now until I can probably get myself some better headphones. I sent him the link to get the headphones. He immediately called me and he was like, why would you send me these cheap shits? And I was like, what do you mean? He goes like, what do you mean? He's like, why would you send me such cheap headphones? They look like they'll break, they'll look like they're flimsy, and they look like they don't even sound good. Why would you send me cheap headphones? And I was like, oh, well, I know that you and my brother X, Y, and Z. I didn't know how much you had. And I'm making up all these reasons and excuses of why I'm sending him cheap headphones and why I was okay with sending him cheap headphones. And he said to me, Mina, I love you. You are my daughter. I will lay my life on the line for you. I may not be able to buy you $1,000 headphones, but I would be damned if I brought you something cheap. Never cheapen yourself for me. Ever. And if I don't have it, I will tell you that and work to get it, then leave you with something, nothing, or something cheap. And never cheapen yourself for anybody. Once my father told me that over some headphones, I realized that I have been cheapening myself in every relationship, and that was one of the prominent reasons that I was having friction and tension in my relationship with my partner at the time, was because I was cheapening myself, making myself small, and they were reflecting that belief that I'm not worth it, that I'm not deserving, that I shouldn't ask for too much. They were mirroring back the belief I had about myself. They wouldn't see me differently until I saw myself differently. And that's when I knew I had to really let it go, because I had to do some mirror work. I had to do some, how do I really think and believe about myself? Where did those beliefs come from? How long have they been here? If they're not mine, whose are there? How did they get here? And how can I start course correcting to love myself in a way that I could never love myself before this here awakening moment? And so, with that very small, undetailed story time, just wanting to wrap it up about how I am now in a space of working on, progressing on, loving myself, what worth means to me, what value means to me, what confidence means to me, what self-esteem means to me as a 30-year-old woman, what that looks like in relationships with my family, my friends, lovers, and beyond. I used to think that value when I was younger was someone picking you to be deserving of a lover, of a friend, of a child, having to work hard and put in a lot of effort to feel deserving, to feel rewarded, and feeling that I needed to prove myself worthy of deserving effort, love, time, consideration, or even to be doted on, spent money on, put effort into, especially because I know that I come with a lot and I am someone who has a complicated life and a complicated belief system and heart and mind. And so now recognizing my value is recognizing how to keep my promises to myself and understanding my wants and needs and actually adhering to that versus diminishing myself for someone else's comfortability, and also standing up for myself and like, if this is not good for me, then I don't need to be here, instead of feeling like, well, if I change enough, if I do enough, if I show enough, if I prove enough, someone will change. That's not true. And I used to feel like recognizing my self-worth and my self-value was a bad thing, because who am I to deny people my love, kindness, and compassion when we're all humans on this earth just trying to survive? Why would I not love someone? But what have these people done to earn my personal, intimate trust, consideration, time, and body? It's one thing to have a mutual respect for people and have values, ethics, beliefs, and morals. It's another thing to value yourself enough to protect yourself, to value yourself enough to preserve yourself. Not because you're taking something away from others, but you're not giving when you have a situation that you're not sure is safe to give, safe to invest to. And it turns out that you just need to collect more data. It turns out you need to really get to know people before you trust them, before you cater to them, before you give them pieces of yourself that are intimate and close and vulnerable and tender and can be used against you. And it's not out of some thinking people are bad for you. It's not out of thinking that there aren't good people in the world. It's acknowledging that there are people out there to harm you, and just like you would want to protect your loved ones, you should protect yourself. Just like I can tell my homegirl, that nigga's a hater, that nigga's an op, I don't know how he got there. Having that same type of protective energy for yourself, the same way you would want to protect your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your friend, your aunt, your uncle, and your pet, is the same way you would want to protect yourself, because you wouldn't be naive that there are other forces out there that are not benevolent. And I'm still doing that work. I'm still uncovering it. I'm doing womology. I'll probably put like a picture of the book here, which is really great, written by a Black doctor. And then also doing mirror work by, I think her name is like Louisa Hay. I think I'll put it here too as well on the screen. You know, doing yoga, taking my meds, journaling, meditating, you know, doing the shadow work, going on my hikes, and talking to other people, hearing different perspectives, which is also what I would love to hear from you guys in terms of how your Saturn return is going. Have you been ending any relationships, starting any relationships? What does self-value mean to you? Self-worth, self-esteem, and how you've been going about it as a Black woman, a queer woman, a Black folk them. All that to say is, like, I do want to hear from you guys, what you guys got going on. I don't want to keep you guys here for too much longer. So since I've been redefining all these things and working on recommitting to myself and keeping my promises, I will be seeing you guys twice a month on every new moon and full moon moving forward once we get the ball rolling. I'm finishing my essay called Friends, Love, and Loss that has to do with this picture over here of the hermit. And yeah, I'm finishing my feature film. If you didn't know, now you know. And, you know, surviving in late stage capitalism. Those are my small promises of making my bed every day, finishing an essay, finishing a film that I've been working on for 10 years, and making sure that I show up where I can and loving myself where I am. And I hope you're loving yourself where you are. And yeah, I don't really have anything too fancy to say for the ending, but if you made it to the end, thank you. I appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe, hype the video, and ask me any questions below if you have it. And if you're seeing this in the future because I'm a super famous YouTuber filmmaker now, hi. And thanks for coming back all this time. Ciao.